to share your company name as well and what you are doing in the Zoom chat. I just ask you to please stay muted as we are recording, and we have started live streaming to YouTube as well. Oh, Candace Blue, HR Karen, where about in South Africa are you? Please add that to your chat. That would be great to know. Mike Said from Mike Said What as well. One of our major contributors as well to our community. We will start in a few minutes. We're just admitting more people. Okay, we've got Brett back from Deep Sea Telecoms in Johannesburg. We're going to give it a few more minutes for people to join us. We're admitting more people. Just one more minute or so, and then we will get going. So please continue saying hi to us in the chat. Great to see a couple of new names here also popping in this morning. Very nice to see everybody here today. Craig just ran into some power problems, which I think we've become masters at managing these kind of challenges during our workshops over the months. So admitting some more people here. Grace, I'm going to come and visit you in Stellenbosch one of these days. Just one more minute and a couple of seconds, and then we'll get going. There's still some more people arriving. Please keep on saying hi in the chat and tell us where you're from and what you're doing. I'm still admitting people. Good, I think Craig, Mike, and Nick, if it's okay with you, I'm going to start the session. We are recording, we are live on YouTube. And there we go. Craig, I'm going to make you host just for another minute or so, and then we can swap again if that's okay with you, because if I go to my notes, I'm not going to
no problem.
Be able to admit people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All good.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Okay. There we go. Welcome to our masterclass, Letting Go to Grow with infamous Nick Manny. I've developed such an admiration for Nick over the last couple of months in terms of what he's doing with his one business on munch bowls, edible bowls, which is so exciting in terms of also contributing to saving our environment and so on. So we are delighted to have Nick with us, and Craig will introduce Nick in a moment. For those of you who do not know us yet, I'm Liesel van Rooyen. I haven't changed name or personality yet. And we also have our founder of the Democratizing Entrepreneurship, Craig Treblanche, here with us today. I will be your moderator for this masterclass. So before Nick starts his presentation, I would like again to invite you all to please ask questions and participate and comment in the Zoom chat. We are keeping our eyes on the Zoom chat during the presentation. And if there's anything that's standing out, etc., we will interrupt and also ask Nick to comment on that for us. Sorry, that is my phone. I thought I muted it. Very bad from me. I do apologize sincerely for that interruption. We are recording this masterclass. We are live on YouTube as well. So please do stay muted. You're welcome to join the conversation as well, but then remember to unmute yourself. We are going to share the video clips and all the assets of this masterclass with you again on our landing page. And I'm going to quickly paste that link into the Zoom chat for you. All the assets are there. We are also going to share right at the end of this masterclass an excellent handout which has been compiled and which refers to all the content that Nick will be sharing with us today. And on that note, Craig, would you mind making me host again, and then please introduce Nick?
Sure, Liesl. You know, us men can't multitask, so can I do one of those at a time?
Absolutely.
Getting there. Right, you host again. And isn't it exciting to have somebody that is a master of science in renewables and the green environment, Nick? And Liesl mentioned his Munch Bowls product, which is absolutely amazing. So, you know, that's evidence of his mastery in the green environment and renewables. And Nick has also completed an executive development program at the London School of Business. And his passion, if you like, is future-ready business. You know, that's his aim for business, is how do we make it future-ready? So he's a visionary and a dynamic leader who has strong insight into business needs and has worked in multiple geographies and challenging environments, but really to build and add value. In addition, his experience in solid waste and consulting and manufacturing has been global, and he's developed a leading position with various business offerings in the space, aka Munch Bowls. Awesome stuff, Nick. Thank you so much for being our host today and for taking us through letting go to grow. I hope that hit the spot.
Yes, thanks, Craig. Much appreciated. Thanks for the kind words and introduction. And yeah, looking forward to discussing letting go to grow with the audience and the members that are here today. So without further delay, I think I can get going.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so Liesl, I'll get going then. Is that okay? All right. So
yes,
we decided to focus on quite an important topic in terms of business and entrepreneurs and business people out there, where I think we're living in a really challenging time, and the focus is about how do we start to transition and transform ourselves. But a large part of it is around how do we start letting go to enable our businesses to start growing. And in that respect, you know, business is not only about you or I, it's about a dynamic team of people plus the environments in which we operate. And we need to shift away from the point of us thinking quite often that, you know, our thinking is the only way to solve business challenges, business problems, and other situations that may pop up. And the success of our business is largely dependent on our mindset and how we start to think and shape our way forward. And in that regard, it's important to start reflecting on the way you think and the way that you start to bring up certain thoughts. Now, if we go to the point about what is this letting to grow, I mean, it's a question that would pop up in our minds, and I'm sure many of you that are sitting out there right now in the audience and in your homes and offices, etc., would be wanting to know, what is this letting to grow? What does it entail? And so, first of all, it's how do you get, you want to create a great business, and how do you actually do that? So we all have businesses, but are they really great enough? And have we really explored our business options to make them greater? to make them really have an impact on the way we conduct business and the way we want to see our businesses actually grow. You also want a business with purpose. All our businesses should have some level of meaning associated with it. And in that regard, you need to really have a sound purpose in terms of where you want to take this business and how you want to make it grow. And you really need to have that sort of mapped out quite clearly in terms of your planning, in terms of your strategy, and how you really want to position yourself in the market as well. We need our businesses to be really captivating, particularly in the transition to a new world, a new order, as they often say. We need businesses that are really going to captivate our clients, our own teams, something that really leaves a mark and creates, really an incredible experience, not only for clients and teams, but also for you as a business owner or business leader. And you want to really make a mark in this regard. A business with real impact. So at this point, we're talking about businesses that can really have a positive effect on the way business as a whole can actually function, its contribution back into society, contribution back into the economy. And these are aspects that you really need to think about. How can I make that big difference? How can I have a real positive impact on the things that can change the face of our business, things that can make it more dynamic? And then every business needs a team. It's important to know that we can't do all of this on our own. We may think we could do it on our own. Maybe at the outset, when we start as entrepreneurs, we often think that we have the answers and we have the skills to actually do all of this completely on our own and in isolation, away from everyone else and away from team members or levels of expertise that are needed to contribute. In the current environment and with the challenges that we're being faced with, we often have to collaborate and interface with many other individuals that can help us to make a success of where we want to go in our journey. And in this regard, you need to start thinking about how do we build teams or come into contact with expertise that could actually add value to the things that we're trying to do in our business. And that's how you start to create a captivating business, by the way, because you now bring in various levels of thoughts, various levels of contribution into the business. And this is quite important if you want to start making a dynamic change. And it also gives you the opportunity to say, listen, I'm willing to let go in order to let this business grow. So this caption basically spells out scale. And if you look at this picture, if you look at it from the bottom going top, you just see this immense enormity of scale of these trees. And if you're standing at the bottom of this forest or plantation, and you think, wow, it's amazing how these trees have actually gotten to be at the height that they've reached, and they could actually be reaching out even further. And it just tells you that these trees have really grown over time. There's been immense growth, and they've been nurtured. They've had many attributes and many factors that have contributed to the growth of these trees to get to the scale that you see in the picture. And some of these may include, them having sufficient sunlight, sufficient water, access to nutrients from the ground, the right growing conditions, etc. Now, if you draw the analogy back to business, in order for our business to grow, we need certain factors in place. And for example, you need the right conditions in which to operate. You need the right teams to interface with. You need the right people to be able to soundboard ideas. And those sort of points allow you, as the owner or the individual or the entrepreneur to actually start to see the change that could come about in your business and how you could actually start to grow and expand to new heights, just like in this picture. So if we move from there, so the big question is, why do we need to let go to grow? And the question is why? And if you're sitting back now and you're listening to the points that I'm talking about, you're going to be thinking, I wonder what these whys could be. And the example is, why do we need to let go to grow? Think about it. And an example could be that you want to increase the number of services in your business, or you want to introduce new professional skill sets into your business. So I think if we could just take a moment, because there's going to be two questions that are going to arise from here. The first one is on why do we need to let grow? And I think Diesel will share a link to Menti, and then we need to list words that you think resonate with your question of why do we need to let grow. Diesel?
Yes, thank you very much, Nick. I've just shared the link in the Zoom chat. What you need to do is just copy the Zoom link into your browser or your URL, and then enter that code, and then pop in those keywords that comes to mind. Nick, I'm going to keep my eye on the results. Sure. People don't work with the link that just came up there. I'll keep my eyes on the results, and I'm going to give you feedback on what's coming on. Just again, if you missed it, the menti.com link is in the Zoom chat. You can just click on it. It will open a browser, or you can copy it into your URL and then enter that code. And please pop in some keywords for us. I'm keeping my eyes on that to see what's coming up. Refresh and see if there's anything coming through. Or if you are more comfortable, pop in those keywords in the Zoom chat. I'll keep my eyes on both. Nick, we've got scale, we've got upskill coming up. Huh. So you're more than welcome if you're more comfortable with popping words into the Zoom chat. So why do you need to let go to grow? What are those words that comes to mind immediately? Let me see what else has come up. Okay, we've got a dominant change business model, change mindset, which is a big one. Perfection, Nick, reputation, upskill and scale have become a little bit less prominent. I see there's about 4 people who's given us feedback there. If you would like to pop feedback in the Zoom chat, I can pick it up from there as well. So if you think of why you need to let go to grow your business, what are those words that pop up? Let me refresh again and see what we have. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we've got a lot more responses here, Nick. We've got make money while you sleep as the dominant one. And with that, generate passive income. With that, change business model. To no longer be a solopreneur, expand employment, cross-skill is a thought that came up, expand employment. We again have upskill to gain a new perspective, competitiveness, opportunities, space to scale the business, relevance, to empower the business, to renew, and then also reputation. Wonderful feedback there, Nick.
Excellent. I think on this particular question, you could see on why do we need to let go to grow. There's been I see there's quite a lot of emphasis on upskill and mindset that seems to be quite prominent in some of the answers that we received back from the audience. And I think it resonates very well with the challenges that a lot of small businesses are faced with currently. And as a whole in the South African economy as well, for many other businesses that are trying to do this transition to a new business order, a new order of business, where there are certain skill sets that are pretty thin or not available in abundance. But I think the other one that was prominent, the word that came up quite prominently, was about mindset. And mindset has got a huge linkage towards change and change management, but it's also about the ability of the entrepreneur, the business leader, the businessman or businesswoman to be able to start doing serious introspection and serious review or reflection of their own capabilities and their own challenges that they face, and how could these things be changed into the future to make them successful and make their businesses a lot more successful, and to create an enabler of growth. And this is really, really important. And I think, the other words that also came up around reputation, competitiveness, relevance, solopreneur, etc., and business models. Yes, definitely, those are things that will sort of be part of the package of why we need to start thinking and reflecting on why we need to let go to grow. Yes, making money is obvious to every business leader or business owner, but I think there's a lot of other attributes that need to be reconsidered in order to make your business successful in order to grow. If we go on from this question to the next part, and the next part is, why do I need to let go? So you want to, we've spoken about skills and services, but there's another point that you need to answer, or another question that you need to answer around this let go to grow, or letting go to grow. And I would like you as audience members to think about the question, do you know what growth actually means? And as an example, I've just listed two sort of words that came up to my mind when I was putting my presentation together. It's about bigger profits, attracting more clients, and of course, growth also links significantly towards scale. So if you could, Liesel, if you could ask the audience to do the same as the previous question, then we could go back and have a discussion around what growth means.
Excellent, thank you. I know there's a few people who also just joined while you were talking through this. Sure. Again, in the Zoom chat, we've got the menti.com link. You can just click on that or copy paste into your URL and enter that code. If you just joined, you may have to do the first activity, which we just completed. But this activity is, again, about, do you know what growth means? Nick shared some examples with us. Pop in those words for us again. And Nick, I'm going to see what we are getting there.
Sure.
I'm just refreshing. Okay, it does take some time to come through. I'll refresh again. So I don't see anything yet.
Yeah, Liesel, we're still on the previous question for some reason. It initially gave me a message that the presenter needs to move to the next question. I don't think we're on the next question yet.
Thanks, Craig. If you could refresh your URL, then maybe that will help. Let's see what happens. Craig, if you can give us feedback, and then we can make a decision on maybe popping the feedback into the chat.
Yeah, we seem to be stuck on the first question.
Okay, let's pop your feedback into the Zoom chat then, please, if you don't mind. So what does growth mean to you? Please pop feedback there in the Zoom chat. It's seen that we are struggling with Menti on the second question. So the question we are answering, Atif, is, do you know what growth means? The first question focused on why do you need to let go to grow? This question is, do you know what growth means? So the first one is, why do we need to let go to grow our business? And this one, which we are addressing now, is, what does growth means to you? What are the words that come up? We have market share that's coming up. Mike says not doing it in everything myself. Oh, it's coming in fast now. Leadership is what it means to lead. Market share, financial freedom to Brett. Rock says gaining speed, helping more people, increase influence. Again, expanding my business across time and distance. Alistair says enlightenment. Benjamin says increased volume. We have leadership again. Power from Atef. Guy says turnover. Employment. Expandability to meet customer needs. Bernard says understanding what the demands of the time is. Excellent feedback there. Zanzeli says client retention, more clients, more team members, more influence, increased revenue. Craig says adaptability. Oh, lots of feedback. So growth means a lot to people. Yes. Many things to different people.
No, it's amazing to hear all the things that you're saying, Liesel, and the feedback that's coming in from the audience. I think it tells me that people are really thinking about growth quite seriously, and that I think the exercises also allowed them to do their own sort of deep dive. What does growth really mean to each individual that's here today? And I think what was fairly consistent was employment came up quite a few times. Clients was the other. Revenue was the other. Expansion. And I think Mike, if I'm not mistaken, said about not doing everything myself, which is really, really important, because it goes back to the point I raised at the beginning of my discussion, where the whole essence of what we're talking today is about letting go to grow. And it's not about you or I or myself. It's about trying to build an ecosystem that allows you to unleash the potential of your business and to be able to grow that even further. And you must also understand that the growth that we anticipate, or the growth that we initiate in our businesses, through all the different attributes that we'll talk about as we go along in the presentation, those are quite visible to your own teams and to your own clients. And when clients start to see that your business is starting to evolve and starting to take shape in terms of growth, they have a lot more belief in the things that you're starting to do, and that you are now starting to take a leap to go forward as well. So really, really important. If you want to keep developing, keep expanding, it's important to note that it's not done in isolation, and it's not done in a method that has been previously used for many, many years. You got to start embracing change in order for the growth to start happening. If we move on.
Nick, just before you move on,
yes.
This is just a 40-minute warning.
Okay, sure. What is important is that who we aiming this presentation or this discussion today to, and it's being aimed towards business owners, entrepreneurs, anybody that wants to get into business, or anyone that wants to bring a new lease of life into your business, and those that really want to leapfrog into the future. It's really, really important that you have this vision, you could visualize of how you can make your business better, and that you're ready to build a business of greatness and future readiness. That's extremely, extremely important, because you've got to start allowing your mind to start thinking about improvement, greatness, and satisfaction. So from there, they normally will evolve apart. And the point around this is, how do we start to build this path towards growth? And do you really know what the path to growth is all about? Have you ever thought about it? When you were jotting down these words about growth in the previous exercise, did you ever think about the path that you need to get to growth. And I've listed some points on the presentation here, which talks about pivoting, growing your business to solve wicked problems, and transforming your business. Now, we all know with the COVID pandemic, the word pivoting has become one of the most prominent words that has featured in the last year. And you often hear business leaders and entrepreneurs talking about, how am I going to pivot my business? And if Liesel, we could just ask maybe one or two people just to write in the chat box, what do they think what pivoting is? How would they define pivoting? Just one or two people would be really great. So we could just share what the definition is.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, if you would like to comment in the chat on what you think pivoting means, I'm keeping my eyes on the chat. But if one of you would like to maybe unmute yourself and just offer your understanding of pivoting, you're also welcome to.
Liesel, let me throw something out to get the ball rolling. So, I often say if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And remember that with COVID, everything has changed. Your environment has changed, the way we work has changed. COVID has disrupted so many industries. I mean, you think about the disruption to healthcare, the disruption to transport, the disruption to ways of work. So please don't always do what you've always done, because it's not going to work with what's happened. So pivoting, traditionally meant sort of an adjacency or a minor change, but actually now we need much bigger change. If that's if anyone wants to add to that.
Thanks, Craig. I see, Guy, you are not muted. I wasn't sure whether
you I was just trying to put something into the chat. So to me, it's going from an old model to one that's more customer centric and market relevant. So how do we actually change the trajectory? So when I talk about social entrepreneurship, I say not a hand out, not a hand up, rather invest in their fishing business and then help that fishing business disrupt the fishing industry. And to do that, they would have to pivot their business. So don't give a fish. Don't teach to fish, but invest in their fishing business and help their fishing business disrupt the fishing industry.
Great, thank you very much. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Guy. Yes, no, thanks, Guy. And thanks, Craig. Very, very important. And I think the second bullet there, this is really important. So if we want to also get onto the path of growth, what does it also entail? And that means growing our business to solve wicked problems. Now, probably you're thinking, what is this wicked problem that we're talking about? And from my own experiences and from many others, these wicked problems always refer to the ones that we want to avoid, not the ones that we don't really want to deal with. And if you just reflect for a moment in your own work environment or your own businesses for this, as an example, we often hear people that don't want to deal with HR issues or people issues. On the other hand, we have people that don't want to deal with clients because they find that clients can be quite daunting. It can be quite a process to actually, have a discussion with the client or to actually win a sale from the client as well. And these are things that we're going to have to force ourselves to start looking at much more deeply and to get a better understanding of. Because in the current environments in which we operate and the way we're going to operate into the future, we're going to have to take a different stance, because it's a lot more of a competitive environment, and many other people will want to actually beat us at our own games. So we should be able to get into a position where we can start to solve problems much easier and with much vigor rather than trying to park them off. The last point around growth or path to growth is about transforming your business. As you sit down and you work through the challenges of your business currently and how you're going to get around them or how you're going to try to solve them, you also need to prepare for the transformation of your business. And that means, like Craig and Guy sort of alluded to and pointed out, that the current way of doing things is definitely going to change completely. And it would definitely require a new approach, a new norm in which we're going to try and address how we grow our businesses, how we take our businesses forward. So you need to be looking at it constantly of how do you adapt your businesses and how do you transform it to actually stay relevant and to add value back to your customers and to your clients. So quite an important set of points to follow if you want to keep onto the right trajectory or the right path towards growth. There's many other factors that also contribute to finding the right path, but it's essentially important that if we look at pivoting, we look at solving our own problems internally and externally and transforming our business. These are sort of the stepping stones that would get us going towards a path of growth. So as we start to get onto this path of growth, we often would be faced with a very emotive stance, and that is, as we start to let go of certain aspects of our business or our business, we start to feel scared, or we have these scary feelings that keep coming up, okay? And the things that came to mind when I went through my journeys or working in collaboration with other business owners and supporting other entrepreneurs, etc., was some of the following words that came up. Fear. The most obvious one is always about fear. You know, you have this weight on your shoulders as what would happen to my business if I had to let go, or if I started to share my business with others, what would that mean for me? You get a lot of emotion. It could be a lot of excitement. It could be negative. Then there's dynamics of bringing people in as a team. You know, how does that change the current circumstances? How does it change our operating style? How does it change our engagement process? Your mindset. Remember, as an individual and as a owner of this business or an emerging professional entrepreneur, you have a set way in which you do things or the way you address certain aspects of your business. But the minute you bring in different elements into your business, different team members into your business, that could change a lot, and it would definitely impact in your mindset. And your thoughts could start to sway in different directions. And if you look at the caption that I've put there, you know, you could see the lady is on a field trying to let go of stuff so that she could free herself up and start to think a lot more clearly and to act more diligently towards her business. The other point is about transition. You know, change. It's all got to do with change. And we all felt it now with COVID as well. You know, we were all more or less locked indoors, couldn't really get out, we couldn't socialize, we couldn't do the things that we normally used to do. A lot of us have been engaged in discussions and business via Zoom and other chat platforms and other sorts of media. And some of us that were not tech savvy were challenged by these things, and it became quite daunting and scary as to how do we now start to take on a new norm of conducting our business, whereas we were quite comfortable being on our own. Maybe at this point, I'd like to ask Liesel if people want to just write in the chat box. Maybe they've got other thoughts that come to mind about letting go and being scary. It'd be good to know what other people feel.
Yeah, so specifically, it refers to what happens to you if you go through the process of having to make the decision, I need to let go in order to grow.
Yes.
What are the emotions that come up? please share in the chat again and again. If one or two of you would like to pop in and share what you feel when you go through this process of realizing you need to let go to grow. Just unmute yourself or put your hand up in the chat, in the screen. I'm quickly going through. Welcome to put it there. I'm going to give something away about myself to also get the ball going. For me, Craig, Lana, Mike, you guys don't hold this against me, hey? Letting go of control. I think for some of us is not being in control, is a fear factor, maybe. I don't know. Anybody else who would like to join me in revealing stuff about yourself? Please, who's that?
Yes, this is Bernard from Ghana.
Hi, yes.
Yes, for me, I particularly experienced it. If you start a business, you are likely to be in charge of everything, especially with the finances. But this thing seems to be coming naturally. As a business owner, you are supposed to be the one to go look for the money and then come to invest. Now, if you decide to take up the issue of financial engineering as well as accounting on yourself as a person, you are likely to be stressed up. So the best thing you need to do is that let go of the accounting bits. So your control over the accounting bit of the business must be let go so that somebody else comes to take up that responsibility. Now, letting it go doesn't mean you have left it off. What you are rather doing is to take up the supervisory role so that you are not in charge of preparing and then accounting for every city or every penny or every cent that is going. You are rather looking at how well the money is being expended in order to bring the income that you require. So on that score, you let go of your responsibility of the accounting function of the business. Let some other qualified person come to take it up. Then you supervise the transactions and all that comes in so that you'll be in a position to bring in the bigger money and then see the business navigate through the changing times. Then you are not stressed that you have time to think and then equally manage the business. Yes, that's my contribution.
Bernard, thanks. Brilliant contribution. Thank you. We have some more here for you, Nick. Nong says, trusting the team to take the vision forward. Cleopa says, society, people, what would they say? Then we have Guy here from the 5 Stages of Growth. Is an old HBR classic, but still very relevant. Yeah, excellent comments, Bernard. Thank you very much for coming in and sharing that valuable thoughts. Great.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Excellent.
Thanks, Nick.
Yes. So as we let go and we manage our scariness and our fears and our emotions, we now need to start considering about how do we start making the shift. And it's important here that in making the shift or this transition, that you clear your mind of any misunderstandings or any misconceptions that you may have about growing your business. And I would encourage you to try and get rid or erase those misconceptions and those misunderstandings, because that most likely will cloud your judgment, and it's going to impact on the way you derive an outcome. Hence, it's important that you have a very, very clear mindset of how you're going to overcome some of these challenges. And with that, you need to be very clear in the path that you want to follow. And it's important also, again, for you to make sound judgments in how you want to make your shift. At this point, it's also very important for you as the business owner or the business leader to start to evolve your thinking exponentially. You need to start thinking about all these possibilities for your business. And this is where your imagination starts to run free, because you need to think of your business with the endless possibilities from a positive aspect. And just to sit back and think, how would my business actually look in 5 years from now if I had done the transition or if I had transformed? And here, by applying an exponential thought framework or thought process, you actually allow yourself to release your mind. You start to think about what is that ideal picture going to look like, that ideal dream that starts to develop. And then you could actually start to see what the real business could likely look like, that really has clout and purpose. And I think what I would like here is to maybe one or two of you, if you want to put your hand up, or you could just write a note, is tell us how do you imagine your business currently, or have you sat back and thought about, wow, this is what my business could look like if I've done the transition, or I start to open my mindset to think exponentially, or what possibilities does your business face right now? But those are from a positive point of view. Liesel?
Yes, absolutely. Just quickly, maybe just one person. I'm just keeping my eye on time progress as well,
Okay.
Nick. So the question is, how can you currently see yourself? Can you see a vision of your business? I think let's get people rather to reflect here in their own time, and
Yes.
maybe explain, Nick, why it's important for you to have this clear mindset and this vision and be able to see it in your imagination, and then we move forward.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think it's important because you don't want to be distracted. You don't want your thinking to be distracted. You don't want your mindset to be impacted by anything that's negative, and to be receptive and open to transformation in your business, and open to the fact that your business has to grow in order to be successful and to be sustainable. I think that's really, really important. So as we make the shift, we now start to create an evolution where we start to build. We're starting to build a business, starting to let the growth happen. And it's important in the evolution process that you need to start disrupting yourself. You need to start thinking about a radical change. You need to disturb your norm. And at this point, you need to really test yourself to see, are you ready to make this leap into growth? You need to start looking at how do you introduce big picture thinking into the things that you want to do in the business. And you also need to look at this whole process through a lens, which will give you a better perspective of how business is going to come about and evolve and grow. And I mean, you can see through the caption that's on the slide there, that it's important for us to actually take a view, but the view needs to be done from a very transparent, clear perspective, so that you're not clouded in getting going with your evolution in this business. So as you start to evolve, we've spoken a lot about team, and here it's important that we now need to surround ourselves and build an ecosystem of people with some level of structure that are going to help us to grow this business, contribute to the growth of this business. It's important at this point, again, knowing that you are not the only person that's responsible for the growth and development of this business. You need to have the right team in place, on the right seats on that bus, on the journey towards growth. It's extremely important here, because this would require you to do some serious introspection, look at reconfiguration of your business, a deep dive into how do you rope in the right and the correct skills. What's important here is that the right team does not necessarily mean that the team or those expertise have to be in the business. We need to look at insourcing some of those skills on a as and when basis, or on a project specific basis, or on a demand basis. And there's a lot of new ways of doing things. And think about expertise on demand or contract expertise. We don't need to have the people constantly in our business. We only get them in when we need them. And that actually helps, leverage your business from a cost perspective as well. Crowdsourcing for undertaking specific tasks in the business is also very, very important, because we don't have to be saddled with huge wage bills and groups of people and HR issues. At this point, we also need to take advantage of leveraging the expertise currency, critical value for adding growth to our business, because that also gives us an opportunity to learn from specialists and expertise that we may not necessarily have at our disposal. And in all of this, businesses are leaning towards lean structures, lean teams, and gone are the days where people had a number of people cut out for specific functions in the business. Now there's a shift towards having smaller teams, more focus, and ready for growth. So as we start this journey, we start to also get rid of the old ways of doing things, and particularly around linear thinking and manual processes and systems. We start to develop more robust solutions. We start to incorporate the digital journey into our business, because that's where a lot of things are happening globally right now in our businesses as well. If you look at this picture, it also shows you how things have evolved from the old into the new. So when we start our journey, I'm sure many of you are familiar with where we started off in the old age. We moved from 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, and now we're sitting at 4 hour. So things have really evolved over time, and it means that the digital journey is starting to entrench itself in our businesses and in the way that we do things going forward. So this digital journey means that we've got to start adopting exponential thinking. We've got to start looking at new systems. We've got to start embracing new technologies. And we need to start embarking on this digital journey quite quickly to create a lot of enablement in our businesses. And then we need to do a thorough assessment in order to achieve the growth that we're looking for. What is it that we need to give the scale to our businesses? What does it require? Is it artificial intelligence? Is it IoT? Is it digitalization? So there again, we need to start working with people in order to start getting the right functions into our business in terms of incorporating a digital journey. So as we start to walk this path and we got the digital journey going, we also need to start navigating our way through very complex external environments that need lots of insight. And the insight cannot only come from you. It needs to come from, we need to collaborate, we need to engage various people that will help us with this journey to start necessitating the changes that need to activate growth. We also need to understand that we need to master new skills on our own, but we also need to build agility muscles early on, so that as our business starts to grow, the journey is a lot more smoother at the different stages in our cycles of business. And it's important to note here that technology is definitely disrupting businesses and us individually as well on a daily basis. And in order for us to embrace it, we need to stay relevant. And our markets and the clients that we deal with will also force us to embark on a exponential journey to start changing our thinking. So as we continue to walk this path, it's important to understand that growth is going to force us to actually move into a massive transformative purpose, abbreviated as MTP. So we need to get rid of the old and come in with the new. Old, building huge staff numbers with specific tasks, like having a number of engineers in a consulting environment or in a big business, in a manufacturing facility. The new would mean that we'd only get engineers available remotely and on task-specific purposes. Exponential growth also allows us to use a lot of data in building our business. I mean, data gives us a lot of information. It guides us into how we should grow our businesses, where we should be focusing on, what parts of our business needs to be automated, and where we need to advance. So extremely important because we need these tool sets to actually guide us. So as we continue walking the path of growth, growth starts to show us signs of development. And it's important because as the growth starts to evolve and unleash itself, we see that we are starting to develop individually as well. And in our growth and development and walking down this path, it's important to acknowledge that there are always internal and external factors which will influence the growth of the business. So it's important at this stage to be resilient and keep looking forward. We shouldn't be pulled back by any negative connotations, any negative things that happen in this journey. We just need to keep adapting and allowing ourselves to keep growing. So the focus here is really, really important. So what's your vision? I mean, we've done a lot of exercises earlier on, and here it is very important to keep thinking big, because you need to start stretching your imagination and think about the possibilities here. And here, the ability to transform, the ability to inspire and be inspired by others, and to challenge yourself. It's really important to keep challenging yourself at this point, but also to take inspiration from what is happening in other businesses that are starting to become successful and those that have become successful. And also to learn from lessons of others that have not been successful. What can you take away from that? And it's important here to understand why these suggestions that I'm making to you become so relevant and so important in order to you to think about, how do I make that that change? How do I start thinking about the growth of my business? You need to keep thinking big. It's important. You keep challenging yourself. You keep testing yourself. You keep dreaming. You keep being bold. And you need to ask yourself the question, why does this business exist? There must be a purpose. There must be a reason as to why I need to keep this business going. And in the current circumstances and in the future, there could be endless opportunities that could arise that will allow you to expand the business to greater heights. A business needs to achieve substantial exponential growth, and you need to be able to be agile at all times to allow the growth to unleash itself. So at this point, it's important to understand that letting go will create the business with a massive transformative purpose. You scale and you grow. So we need to keep thinking about positive outcomes and positive visualization. It's extremely important to acknowledge that these things can actually happen. And in that regard, I wanted to share an example. It may not be the most clear example, but most of you, I mean, I think everyone is aware of the death of blockbusters and the rising of Netflix. And, you know, again, it's about the death of blockbusters was largely around not being able to see into the future, not being able to visualize, not to be able to think about the different attributes that could help with the growth. Whereas Netflix identified an opportunity and decided to take it on and created a whole new market. And out of that, there's endless opportunities that are starting to evolve out of that opportunity that was first identified. So with this, we need to create a lot of intrinsic value. And this value will allow the business to follow the right strategy and be able to build on that value well into the future. The more you visualize, the greater the ability to put forward plans. So the more you start thinking and you share those thoughts, you share those visions, you share those imaginative thoughts with with teams and fellow team members, you get to bounce these ideas. You get to look at what could actually come out of that. You create a lot more opportunities. You could realize that if we shifted the focus a bit, our business can start to move forward. And value is built not only for your business but also for your teams, because you allow them to stretch themselves as well. And your clients then start to see that you're really applying yourselves into a growth phase. You're starting to look at things differently. You're embracing the changing dynamics in the environment in which you operate. And every phase of growth unlocks value creation in your growth journey. It's extremely important to understand that as you keep growing and you keep embarking on the journey of growth, you create a lot more value, and that value could lead on to a lot more other opportunities. So creating growth value, and with a particular focus on building blocks for growth, means that you need to embrace and take on a team. You need to understand the growth and the possibilities with your products and your services. And then lastly, with quality and service, you need to have these sort of attributes and these factors factored in to your building blocks for growth, because that's where you as a business will achieve a lot more success, and clients will embrace these aspects as well. And I think this is a good point for me to sort of conclude, Liesl, because we just need to keep letting go to grow.
Nick, thank you very much for this. I think what I would like to do is invite questions. Maybe go back to the previous slides, Nick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Please, we've got some time available for some questions and comments and contributions from all of you in terms of this topic, to letting go to grow. So if you have any learnings you would like to share, any contributions you would like to make to the presentation, and then also ask questions, you're more than welcome to either put your hand up or pop a question or comment in the chat, or unmute yourself to come in. Anybody who would like to add an experience they've had? Guy, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I posted it on the chat earlier. I'm a solopreneur, and the most difficult hire is the first hire. So I've been thinking for some time of taking advantage of the SARS intern, hiring an intern who could work remotely and help me and take over some of the things that I'm not good at, like the admin and the following up and things like that. I was just wondering whether anybody on this discussion, particularly South Africans obviously, have any experience with hiring an intern, and where's the best place to source that? Thanks.
Okay, thanks. You can pop a response there in the Zoom chat to Guy. I think I know somebody unmuted. I don't know who that is. You're welcome to start speaking. Craig, is that you?
Yeah, I will send Guy Tanya Roeder's details to help him with that.
And Craig, you also had in the chat, you mentioned earlier, and I mentioned as well earlier, Nick, where we referred to your innovative product that you took from an idea into an established business now. How did you come up with Munch Bowls, and how did you personally let go to grow that business, Nick?
Thanks, Liesl. I think it all started off as an idea by my business partner in a kitchen, sometime back. But I think what actually prompted the whole thing was the challenges that we face around pollution and waste, etc., and trying to cut out the plastics that are being used, globally at the moment. And the birth of the edible Munch Bowl through lots of R&D was eventually developed. And I think what's critical there is that, I think my partner at that point then realized that all cannot be done just purely by one individual. It needs a team of people to actually get on board, to take up different aspects of the business, and to help steer some of the areas where people have particular strengths, and it also to leverage off those strengths of the fellow team members, and that then started to create other opportunities. You started to get access to market much quicker. You started to build product rapport much quicker. You started to build a wider network, which then gave you a lot more credibility in the market as well. And collaboration was one of the key aspects. Dealing with people who are specialists or have specialist know-how in particular areas, such as manufacturing and industrial engineering, etc. So it's important to understand that each of us have got certain strengths and weaknesses, and we need to push the right levers at the right time to be able to activate and to bring on board the right people. And I think that's what's going to keep driving us to keep pushing forward and to become more successful.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Thank you very much. I'm going to go to Craig now. He's got his hand up. But I think what struck me about the story you shared there, Nick, is that you were very clear on a very big, massive, transformative purpose. And that is something that guided you and steered you and motivated you along the way. Craig, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I absolutely love the concept of munch bowls and the product. So congratulations, Nick. I mean, that's truly amazing. Now, what really intrigues me is, did you come up with an edible bowl as the very first idea? And how much did that change? Was it like in the first place maybe you see a lot of recyclable and that type of thing. Did it really start as an edible munch bowl first? And then, of course, what kind of materials and, so I'm just trying to explore adaptability here and understand that aspect. Nick, do you want to comment on that?
Yes, thanks, Craig. Yeah, it's an important question. I think if I go back to all the discussions that I had with my partner, when she got going with this and sort of tapped her brain into how she thought about it, etc. And it sort of all culminated in the fact that if we could try and stop the waste, close to being completely, there must be a solution where people could have a twofold benefit from using such a product. And an edible was definitely on the cards, something where people could derive a benefit of not only having just your meal only, but if you could actually eat the product whilst having your meal or after having your meal, then you actually become a consumer or an individual that doesn't actually contribute further to a waste crisis or to pollution. But there's a level of value that was being created in the bowl itself from a nutritional perspective. So you could actually benefit from that, although it's not gluten-free or something at the moment. But there is definitely a purpose in an alternative market for using such a product, and I think that's where the value of looking at how do we transform what we have currently to something that's going to create unique value for anyone that actually wants to eat a plate of food or a bowl of food. And I think that's where we made the change.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. And was this a side hustle for you, or would you see it as an adjacent kind of thing? Curious.
Yeah, no, I saw it as an opportunity to get involved with my partner, because it's something that needed some level of input from a commercial point and from a technical point. Me having a waste background, I felt that my contributions could actually help start to make a difference. So I think to answer it in totality, it's actually taking something that started off as an idea and now trying to create it as a fully commercial, viable business. Not only here, but trying to take it globally.
Oh, that's absolutely awesome. And I mean, especially the part of the fact that the bowl adds to the nutritional, consumption of the user or of the person that's eating the bowl. I mean, that's mind blowing and really a great example of how one can now for something completely different kind of thinking. So no, congratulations on that. Liesl, should I go to summary?
Please, if you don't mind. I have shared Munch Innovations website link in the chat, and I by accident copied in another Nick's email address, but then because I'm having problems with my Control C's here, and then I corrected that with Nick's email address. It's all in the chat there for you. Great, thanks.
Cool. So you should be able to see my screen?
Not yet. Nick, would you mind stop sharing, please?
Sure.
And then you should be able to see my screen. Can you see my screen?
No, not yet. I'm helping you quickly. Okay, would you mind sharing again, Craig? I've stopped Nick.
Okay.
Thanks. There we go. It's here.
Okay, awesome. How much time have I got?
You've got 8 minutes.
See, Bernard Badu has got his hand up. Do you want to take that question quickly?
Bernard, would you mind? Yes, thanks.
Nick. Yes.
Bernard.
Hi, Nick. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. A quick one. For those of us who are not lucky to be in SA, I mean South Africa, and in particular respect of your products, Munch Bowls, those of us who have to receive it by sea freight, do you have an idea the challenges that come with the product at the time of arrival at the port? On a scale of 0 to 100, what is usually the percentage of breakage in the bowls, if there are, on a scale of 0 to 100? Yeah.
It should be absolutely minimal because with sea freight, it's a lot more different. I mean, everything is packed into particular purpose-built crates and into inner boxes, etc. Whereas if I compare it to some of the challenges that we have with some of the courier people that do very, very small, distribution of our products, that's a different challenge, and we're working on an alternative solution for that. So I'd say I'm not going to give you a percentage, but it's absolutely very minimal on sea freight. We haven't had any issues from any of our other clients to date, thankfully.
Okay, let's keep going. Thank you for the question, Bernard, and thanks, Nick. So how do we let go to grow? In summary, we all want great growing businesses with purpose. Purpose attracts the right people and directs the energy and creates synergy. So navigate the future and let go of the past. So scale with the right teams, people, environment. And why let go? Let go because you need new skills. You need new services. You might even need a side hustle, as we saw with Munch Bowls. So in the Menti feedback, we had lots of great feedback around mindset skills, transition to a new order of business, new business models, I think is absolutely fundamental. If you think about, if you really understand your current business model relative to the extent of disruption that we're experiencing, and believe me, people, this is only the beginning of the disruption. There is no new normal. There's only a new abnormal where everything is going to change dramatically in the coming years. So think about a future business model that is sustainable, and reflect on the capabilities and challenges to be future ready and enable growth. So what does growth mean? It means employment, clients, revenue, not going at all, not doing it all, I think is what that's supposed to say. Working on the business rather than in the business. Yeah, so it's definitely not doing it all. And we had some good stuff on that a bit later. Think about an ecosystem business. How can you attract back to purpose the right ecosystem of collaborators? Embrace change came out. And do you want to leapfrog legacy and build a path to growth? You need to pivot, but how? Don't always do what you've always done, especially with pervasive disruption. Going from an old model to one that is more customer-centric and market relevant. And Guy gave us the example of invest in fishing business rather than just teaching somebody to fish. Solving wicked problems, and address these head on. Nick emphasized, that we often try and brush under the carpet the difficult problems that we have to face. But in these times, it's very important to address these head on. And you can get support to do that. Transform your business, the new abnormal, adapt and be relevant in the new context. Start a side hustle, Nick. I absolutely love the notion of munch bowls, and especially the fact that they're nutritional. I mean, that's just mind-blowing. And, we need to help you, and everybody in our community needs to help you to get that out there. Letting go is scary. Fear of letting go or sharing, team dynamics, operating style, all these things are affected by letting go. And mindset might be linear, but dynamic impact is everything. So you really need to change your mindset. Change is fundamental. And tech has become so pervasive and overwhelming. And this is why we're democratizing entrepreneurship. So forgive me for the unashamed punt, but what we're really trying to do is help as many people like Nick and like any entrepreneur out there that needs help with being able to do this kind of thing. So great example from Bernard of let go of internal functions, and then Guy added, or no, it was Mike said that added, internally hold on to control of finance but not accounting, marketing but not sales, HR but not personnel, innovation but not production. I really like that. And then Guy mentioned Grainer's 5 stages of growth, which is an old HBR classic, but still very relevant. So how do we shift, transition? So clear your mind of misconceptions. And I think we've spent months now putting a lot of time and effort into helping people around mindset and exploring mindset and really understanding, how fear impacts your thinking and all these mindset issues that one really needs to come to grips with. So this point about clearing your mind of misconceptions is very, very important, because there are exponential possibilities out there. You really need to open your mind to what's possible and explore what's possible. And if you need ideas in that space, this is the right community to find them. So in terms of the team, the right structure, expertise on demand, crowdsourcing, aggregate expertise for specialist skills. It goes back to that thing of you're never going to be an accountant necessarily as an entrepreneur, but you do need to control the finances and understand how to manage financials as from a management accounting perspective. But don't try and do the bookkeeping, for goodness sake. Do cash flow management. That's a very important aspect of entrepreneurship. Aggregate, I've touched on that. Then the point about lean teams. Don't build all the functions on the enterprise map. If you've seen the enterprise value map, you'll see that it's got like almost 100 functions on it. If you think you need to build all of that to build your business, we'll see you, or we won't see you in 5 years' time, because you won't get there. Start your digital journey. So remove manual processes and linear thinking. Adopt exponential thinking and exponential technology. There are so many technologies available as a service that you can incorporate into your business to enable you to scale and grow. But you need to really understand your customer journey, and you need to do some value chain analysis. So understanding your customer journey is about thinking more outside in and really looking at how you can better and more effectively serve your customer. And then your value chain analysis is really about understanding the way you work and being more efficient in the way you work and operate and serve your customer. So build your agility muscle to adapt. I love that comment from Nick. And really you can leverage the technology disruption. There's never been a time where it's more possible for an entrepreneur to use tech to your advantage. So please explore that and understand that better. And then I think this is the last slide. So walk the path of growth, have a massive transformative purpose. I've added some graphics here about massive transformative purpose. And Nick touched on why in that context. You know, understand your own why, and then build a purpose that attracts your community to that why, and have a massive transformative purpose, and be resilient and keep looking forward and see the future. And this is one of the tricks that Elon Musk is brilliant at. He's looking 5-10 years ahead, and he starts now with what's possible in 5 or 10 years. And that's why he's doing so well. So be resilient and keep looking forward. Have a vision and a moonshot, but think really big, think ahead, be adaptable and agile, but let go to scale and grow. So think future, visualize, and think, you know, ask yourself often, how might we do this differently? You know, how might we actually have a better way of doing this, rather than the same old. So create intrinsic value, phases increase value and opportunity. Nick talked us through the growth phases, but your team, your products, your services, and the quality of service needs to match those growth phases. So that's it from me. Thank you so much. I hope, and thank you, Nick. It was really enlightening, and I hope you've enjoyed it.
Craig, could you please continue sharing? Thank you. I will wrap up.
I can do that.
Thank you very much. So if you can go to the next slide, please, I'll appreciate that. So we'll giving Nick a big round of applause in a moment. But as always, we like sharing what's coming up next, and I will be presenting on Master Your Focus. So this masterclass is designed to help you understand why you keep jumping from one thing to another without ever achieving your full potential. But more importantly, I'm going to teach you how to stay focused and avoid the next latest best thing, and also to jump from one project to the next, how to prioritize, etc. And I'm specifically customizing the content for you as the entrepreneur, because you have unique challenges. I did share the registration link to the masterclass earlier in the chat, and I'm doing that right now. Registrations are open. Craig, if you can go to the next slide, please. So I'm going to share our contact detail, including Nick's contact details, also in the chat. Please reach out to Nick directly if you want to chat to him further about what he's doing, to get advice. Nick, by the way, is also a mentor. So I would love to have Nick as one of my mentors. And then Craig, the next slide, please. I've also just shared today, I see it's cutting off, but that's okay. All our contact details are in the Zoom chat as well. There's a coming soon, what's coming up next, landing page there for you. Join our LinkedIn community as well, etc. And become part contributing to the community like Nick just had. And also, just in closing, and this is my last thoughts, Craig, and then I'm passing it back to you to wrap up and thank everybody as well for joining us, is that, as you've noticed, is what we do with our masterclasses. We break it up into small little clips, then we create the assets for you on our EXO Futures Academy landing page. You can go and register at the link I've just shared today. All the 2020 and 2021 masterclasses is up to date, and they're available to you to view, to listen to again. The presentations are there, the handouts are there, etc. And on that last note, Craig, then I'm going to stop talking. We also have a handout which summarizes everything that Nick has shared with you. Please download that link as well. It brings everything nicely together. Nick, from my side, it was a pleasure working with you in the last week and a half. Mike said also just wants to pop on quickly and just say something. Mike?
Thank you. I just want to quickly tell you all about next week's, and this comes from me personally. Next week, we have a very special guest, someone who over the last 6 weeks has completely turned my way of working and my business around for me. Her ability to focus and get me to focus has been remarkable. So please don't miss next week. It's Liesel van Rooyen speaking about focus. And I can't tell you enough times what a difference this has made to my own business in just 6 weeks. Looking forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Apparently, Craig and Mike and a few others have nicknamed me Miss Accountability, so that might say something to you. So hopefully I contribute to you. Craig, Nick, would
Awesome.
you like to say, maybe Nick would like to say something in close, and then Craig, if you wouldn't mind wrapping up.
Over to you, Nick.
Yes, thank you. Thanks to Mike, Liesel, and Craig, and to everyone that attended and everyone that contributed. I really had fun. It was good to share the experience, and it's good to be part of this ecosystem and to help unleash the potential of many others that are going to become future leaders. So thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Nick. It was great to have you and to work with you, and we're looking forward to working with you more. Mike, I can't say more about what you said about Liesel's Focus Masterclass. I thought she created it for me, but clearly it's all of us that need to focus. So join us in that. And yeah, just thanks so much, everybody, for joining us again. You know, we are here to help as many people as possible not to be left behind by this digital revolution that we're experiencing. So if you're an entrepreneur and you have anything to share, you know, we all have some knowledge. We're increasingly calling them knowledge nuggets. We can help you digitize those knowledge nuggets and run a masterclass like this around those knowledge nuggets to share and grow the collective intelligence of the community. So I'd be most grateful if you would get on the bus and join us in doing that. Our massive transformative purpose is democratizing entrepreneurship in Africa. And in order to do that, you know, we need to democratize things like internet access. We need to democratize things like access to nutrition, which Nick has started to do. You know, we need to democratize access to Wi-Fi. We need to make these things accessible. We need to democratize education. And all of those are relevant to what we're trying to do. So if you're keen and interested to help us with that, please do. And thanks again, Nick. Thanks to everybody that contributed, and have a great day further and have an awesome weekend. And if you need more focus like I do, see you next Friday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.